Hello, everybody. It is 8 o'clock, and some of you requested that I jump on to answer some questions. So I'm glad to be here. So as you guys are coming in, I am going to take a second here so that I can share this in our private Facebook group as well. It doesn't automatically share there. So I'm working on it. If you are watching, give me a shout out and say hello. That way I can make sure that the chat box is working. So I know you guys are, let me put links in here for you guys as well. So couple people sent some messages. Yes, today is the last day for the 25% off for Premier Research Labs. And a couple people said, hey, I don't even know what to order. Can you help me? So I said, okay, fine, I'll jump on. And then I posted today to see if anybody wanted and would join in. And I got some responses that were like, yes. So I'm going to put it into create your account here. So for those of you who do not have an account with us with Premier Research Labs, you have to use our account in order to get your 25% because it's not something that the company is specifically offering. They're running the 25% off for 25% off for whatchamacallit. I can't multitask at the same time, you guys. They're running 25% off for just your subscriptions. So, and just for your first order. So today's coupon is for the 25% off. And yes, that expires at midnight, which is why we're on here so late here at 8 o'clock. So if you're watching, go ahead and give a shout out and put your question into the box. That way I can get your questions answered. So I did put the link to create the Premier Research Labs account in the chat box there, as well as your coupon code. So there were some questions that came in. Bear with me as I take a look here at some of those questions that came in. So Linda Jane had asked about the best supplement for anxiety. So that's a really good one, Linda. So first of all, let's talk about anxiety. You know, we always say, I know we're doing a supplement Q&A live tonight, but the truth is we always want to try to understand what the underlying root cause is as to why you're experiencing that anxiety, because otherwise sometimes we're just kind of using supplements to also put a band-aid when what we want to do is use them to actually help our bodies heal and rebalance. But I do have some favorites, of course, in terms of anxiety. So it is a great question. One of my all-time favorites is a product called Tranquinol. And this is one that I will sometimes have clients take at night to assist them with their sleep, but it is one that I would also have clients take even during the day to help, create some calm to that anxiety. But I also love the magnesium glycinate. So the magnesium glycinate is another one that works really well. But you want to take a look at what's creating that anxiety. So is it your digestive system? Is it that, minerals are out of balance? Is there a hormone imbalance? Maybe you're menopausal, or maybe there's some thyroid issues. And then you also want to address those things. So one of the questions that comes up a lot in my practice is, all right, Dr. D, if I had to just pick a couple of things to work on, what would it be? And always, it's two things that I start with. Number one is minerals, and number two is digestion. And honestly, they're both at the top of the list. I wouldn't even prioritize one over the other. So I would suggest that you make sure that you're always getting your food digested. And for most of our clients, they are on the Premier Research Labs HCL and the HCL activator. And those are taken right after you eat the meal. Now, if you've had any major surgeries, or you have a history of ulcers or things, any surgeries on the center line of the body, or a history of ulcers, or you experience burning with the HCl and the activator, then I always recommend a product called Gastroven. So Gastroven is the one that you would use there. I also recommend to our clients that you start before you eat your meal, you start with the Digest, which is a broad spectrum of the digestive enzymes to help you break down your fats, your proteins, your carbohydrates. So digestion being really important. Another one that I love for minerals, there's the pH minerals, which I have a reverse osmosis system in my home. And for those of you who know about reverse osmosis, you know it depletes everything from the water, which we want it to get rid of everything, but you do need to add something back. So I will use the Premier Research Labs, the pink salt, to add back to that water, as well as the pH minerals. Sometimes I add both, sometimes I add one, sometimes I add the other. Depends on what I've got closest on the counter that I can grab. But the pH minerals always sits right next to our spigot for our reverse osmosis filter. So that one is really important. The fermented greens and the greens powder are also really fantastic for minerals, to make sure that you're getting those minerals in. Okay, guys, go ahead and throw questions into the chat box for me so that I can see them. I only get my view. I don't get to see everything because we are broadcasting on several different channels, but it should all filter in here. So let's see. So I got the best supplement for anxiety. We talked about digestion and minerals. Oh, here's a question on thyroid and thyroid health. And with regard to the thyroid, I'm going to say the same thing that I already said. You obviously always want to get to the underlying root cause of why there's issues with the thyroid, right? Is it becoming because there's adrenal issues? Is it becoming because there's digestive issues? Is it happening because there's issues going on with conversion in the liver? Because then you want to support those different systems, right? You want to support the GI system. You want to support the liver. You want to support the endocrine system. But one of my favorites, of course, is the Thyroven. And the Thyroven I find important because it's got both the nutrients to help support the function of the thyroid, but also the structure of the thyroid. So when a lot of times we will use a product called Xenostat, which is live seaweed essentially in a capsule, which is really important for that live source of iodine, which feeds the thyroid. But we are finding these days more and more clients are actually needing a little boost more than just a Xenostat, and we're bringing in the Thyroven because it has some other additional pieces in there that support the thyroid as well. So that's another one. When we look at thyroid health, we also need to support the parathyroid. And for the parathyroid, I've got a couple of favorites that I like to use, and that is the green tea ND, which is a liquid nanonized green tea supplement, as well as Medi-Chlorella. So you guys have probably heard chlorella before. Chlorella is important, obviously, for detoxification. You guys think about what's happening with the thyroid. The thyroid takes the brunt of a lot of the junk that we're exposed to, including the radiation, the chemicals in the food. And so making sure that we're having that gentle detoxifier there is helpful for the function of the thyroid as well. Okay, you guys, so if you're just joining in and watching, I know a bunch of you asked me to jump on here tonight and get those questions live. So go ahead, please, and put your questions in the chat box, and I will get them answered for you. Let's see. Bear with me here. Diana. Okay, so somebody is asking about the Q discs. Q discs, you guys, are super, super important. So a great thing for sure to take advantage of the special. So I've got my little cell phone here, and I'm going to. Oh, by the way, you guys, I don't know if you guys can see this. So on my phone here, my screensaver, I've been having a couple rough days, and I needed some extra motivation. And the person that you see here in this picture, this is actually Dr. Robert Marshall, and he is the founder of Premier Research Labs and a tremendous mentor for me in my life. And in the realm of helping people with their health. And one of the messages that I kept getting this weekend as I was going through my little stuff was, as I was going through my stuff in my head, was just remember to say thank you. Everything happens for a reason. We just say thank you for whatever it is. And that was the key message that Dr. Marshall, I got all this stuff popping up on my phone, but that was the key message that Dr. Marshall always said as a mentor to us. And so I was like, that keeps popping in my head. I'm sticking his picture up here because I want to keep that in mind. But anyhow, so you'll see on the back of my phone here, I have the Q Disc 6. And the reason is, and Diana, I think this was your question. The reason is, so our cell phones give off a lot electromagnetic radiation. And if you want to think about it, I kind of, the visual that I put in my head is, it's almost like EMFs are this crazy, chaotic energy. Imagine like an elementary school orchestra. And I know there's a lot of things out there that say that they block EMFs, but if you blocked all the EMFs from your phone, you wouldn't be able to use the phone. And I know there's cases and things like that, but what about the other sides? So I don't necessarily think that those are the best options. What the Q Disc does is it kind of like takes that chaotic stuff and makes it into this beautiful energy that is actually can be beneficial, believe it or not. But I imagine it as like going from an elementary school orchestra with mass chaos, moving to, a symphony orchestra. And that's the difference. But at the cellular level, what that means is that I can pick up my phone and not worry about it impacting negatively every single cell in my body, because the electromagnetic frequencies, you guys can do some research on them. We've done workshops on electromagnetics. You can probably, if you're in our private Facebook community, you can certainly find those workshops in our private Facebook community. You'll find a replay there. But what happens is they interact with our cellular function, and that in turn over time impacts our health and leads to disease. So the Q Disc 6, Diana, is what goes on my cell phone, my computers. Those are really important. You guys who are just joining in, go ahead and put your questions into the chat box, and I'm on for the next 15 minutes, you guys, before I sign off for the week, but wanted to make sure that you all got to take advantage of the last day of the Premier Research Labs, the 25% off sale. So you, in the comments section of the chat box, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, on Dr. D's page or the South Bay Wellness page or the private South Bay Wellness group, wherever you're watching from, I did put a link in the box. In order to take advantage of the 25% special, you do need to use your South Bay Wellness account, and then the code will work for you. So you need the account to make sure you have an account, and then use the coupon code. That coupon code will give you the 25% off your order, which ends at midnight tonight. Renee, so I mentioned a lot of different things, Renee, for anxiety, right? We talked a little bit about the root causes of anxiety briefly. Some of my favorites are the Trinquenol, okay? So Trinquenol was one that came up, and I believe Trinquenol was out of stock and is now back in stock. So that is an awesome one to go ahead and stock up on. The Trinquenol, personally, I use when I feel really stressed out, or if I feel like there's things that are going on in my life that are creating higher stress, they're also impacting my sleep. I will use the Trinquenol. The Trinquenol is a fantastic neurotransmitter reset. So it's one of those things that we do use for sleep. And, like I said, you want to get to that underlying root cause. So if we're resetting the neurotransmitters, it's not necessarily like, something that you need to be on forever for the rest of your life, which is, of course, what we want. Another favorite that I didn't mention before, Renee, is the adaptogen. So the adaptogen is, it's an adaptogenic herbal blend. And what does that mean? Well, think about it, adapt. So it helps to upregulate the things that need to be upregulated, downregulate the things that need to be downregulated. So it is a formula that is beneficial for allowing us to adapt to times of stress. And that is another one that I use. And you guys who are familiar with the quantum reflex analysis testing that I do in my practice, when we're balancing things like, for example, the adrenal glands, the adaptogen is a big one that we use. We also use, another favorite of mine is the Adrenaven. That's ADRENA Ven. So like adrenal and ven. So the Adrenaven, that is another favorite for really balancing the adrenal glands. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog barking, but see if I can get him to lower down his voice there. So the Adrenaven is another one that I use. Of course, another favorite, again, you guys, you want to get to the fundamentals. Like these are nice little things that you can add as a boost, but when magnesium is depleted in the body, we are going to be more prone to having anxiety. So magnesium glycinate is one of my favorites. Yeah, there is also Premier just started with an L-theanine. That is another good one that can be helpful for getting rid of some of those jitters. Also helpful with your sleep. Okay. So Renee, I think that was, just give me a yes if that was what you missed that you were looking for, or if you have an add-on question to that. And to the rest of you who are listening, what are your different health issues that you're dealing with? If you're needing help in figuring out what the best thing is to resolve those health issues, and I'm sorry for the dogs barking in the backyard, the back room. So go ahead and put those in. Let me just check the other channels here. Just bear with me. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So somebody is asking about fatty liver. You guys, this, I don't know, I think I just recently posted a post from a talk that I did on fatty liver. So if you caught that one and that's what's sparking the question, awesome. Thanks for following us on our social media channels. So you guys, fatty liver is pervasive in our society. I mean, you got to think about, first of all, the liver's job is to help us detoxify, right? And we are exposed to a ginormous amount of toxins these days. And then we take a look at our diet. We're not always doing the best things for our body and our liver. And a lot of people are always thinking, oh, fatty liver, alcohol. I've got to tell you, we have plenty of clients who have fatty liver who are not drinking substantial or even close to that amounts of alcohol. And so that is pervasive in what's happening. And what I would say for sure is one of my favorites is the gallbladder ND, as well as the liver ND. And I find when I test clients, some clients do better with the gallbladder ND, others do better with the liver ND. If you're not liking liquids, then the Hepatoven, that's HEPATOVEN. The Hepatoven is an excellent one for liver support as well. And don't forget, you guys, I love castor oil packs. And going back, Renee, to your question on anxiety. So I love castor oil packs on the adrenals, especially when there's a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. If you need castor oil pack instructions, then do reach out to us and we can get it for you. If you're already a client, it's probably in your portal, those instructions. But you guys, the castor oil packs on the liver gallbladder area, I highly recommend doing those as well. Okay. And again, if you need it. So when we do castor oil packs in our practice with our clients, we use the castor oil, the organic castor oil from Premier Research Labs, as well as the organic cotton flannel. And I know there's, social media has all different things that are promoted. And I will tell you that I've been doing kinesiologic testing for, I think like over 17 years now. And we do testing with castor oil packs and things like that. And I know there are recommendations to leave that thing on overnight or go about your day or just wash it. You guys, those are not my recommendations. I suggest that you cut the cotton flannel that you need, 2 layers thick. And when you're done with that castor oil pack, you throw it out. And I will tell you from kinesiologic testing that those packs go off, 10 to 15 minutes, and those packs are done. So don't leave them on all night as you're sleeping. Think about what it's doing. It's about detoxification. Okay, so when it's done, it's done. You don't want to leave that on there. So we do our castor oil packs with the organic castor oil from Premier Research Labs, the organic cotton flannel from there, as well as I do have my clients open a capsule of the turmeric onto their cotton flannel. That gets applied to the area with heat. And we leave that on for about 10 to 15 minutes, okay, to do the castor oil pack. You guys feel free, reach out. We'll send you instructions on how to do that if you need assistance on doing that. Yeah, so Renee, you're already taking those things. Of course you are, Renee. Awesome. So Jean, the best form of magnesium to take really depends on what the purpose is that you're looking to accomplish. Okay. My favorite, so Premier Research Labs has 2 magnesiums, right? One is the magnesium glycinate, which I have found tremendously helpful for people with sleep, with stress. I actually, when I do the kinesiologic testing on clients, I do find that it benefits many different areas of their body. Because when we do the kinesiologic testing, we're testing all the different organs, glands, and systems of the body. And the magnesium glycinate shows up in a lot of different places. They also have a magnesium powder. It does have a watermelon flavor. I will tell you, we have clients who love the watermelon flavor and clients who don't like the watermelon flavor. So that really depends. The other ones are in capsules, so they don't have any flavor attached to them. Jean asking about the castor oil packs. Yes, I would certainly be doing castor oil packs on the liver gallbladder area, especially if you have those liver and gallbladder issues. But Jean, if you're having issues, you also want to understand why and what's happening. And like I said, one of my favorites is the gallbladder ND, okay, and the liver ND. Okay, those are both liquids, and I love Premier's liquid nutrients. We usually, what we'll do is we'll have them in, 32 ounces of water, and we'll have you sip them over a period of time. So you're kind of like slow dripping it into the body. And that's the way that we do that, Jean. I should also tell you for sure, Jean, too, like this is the last of my little cup here. It's running low, but you'll see it's kind of got this light pinkish flavor. And you're like, well, Dr. D, what the heck is in your drink? So speaking of minerals being one of those important things, what I have in my drink here, it's the calcium magnesium powder. Okay, which I use for minerals. And then I also have some of the aloe powder in there. So the aloe helps to make sure that is getting into the bone and obviously benefiting the bones as well. So we always mix, if you're one of our clients, it's probably on your protocol, right? The calcium magnesium powder along with the aloe. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. You guys, I'm here online for the next few minutes. It's a great time to get your health questions in, get some answers on taking advantage of the Premier Research Labs sale that's there. So if you haven't seen it somewhere in whatever, we're streaming to a bunch of different sites, you guys. So wherever you're looking from, in the comments section, you'll have the link to create your Premier Research Labs account. And then you'll also have the coupon code there as well. So the question coming in, can you take both the liver ND and the gallbladder ND? You can, Renee. They have a lot of overlap in their, what they have in their formulas. So it really you can, but you're not necessarily going to get all that much by taking both of them. I usually recommend one or the other depending on what somebody tests for, but I would say that I use the gallbladder ND probably even more frequently than I use the liver ND. And sometimes I'll use the gallbladder ND, and I will also go ahead and use the Hepataven. I also like to use B vitamins. So if you guys are looking for, I didn't talk about this with stress before, and I meant to. So if you guys you're having a lot of stress, the B vitamins are also helpful for the stress, for the adrenals, and also for the liver. So one of my favorites there, I already said I love the liquids, and they are, one of the only companies that provide the liquids like that. But it is the Max B is the product name, and it is a little bit on the more expensive side. And so sometimes I call it liquid gold, right? But it really is like Maxby is one of those, it is one of those supplements that our clients will take and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I felt the difference for that like immediately. So that is something that is in my regimen, but I also use that fairly often at the liver and gallbladder as well as another one that I like is the taurine. So that's Taurine. I do like to use the taurine to help balance the liver, the gallbladder, but it's also really helpful if you've got high anxiety and high stress as well. So it has that, calming effect. So Jean, great question. So if you have no gallbladder, you don't need the gallbladder supplement. Not correct. And I'll tell you, so first of all, it's interesting because there's actually a lot of people these days who don't have their gallbladder. You remember they used to take away the appendix and thought that had no need. And then they realized that, oh, the appendix is there. It's got a storage site for all the probiotics, right? But not necessarily the case these days. It's like we're always removing the gallbladder. And I've had clients, believe it or not, they've come in and they've told me that they've had their gallbladders removed. And it wasn't even because there was an issue with the gallbladder. It's like maybe they had a couple stones, but they were in there doing a surgery for something else and just decided to take the gallbladder at the same time. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there is a purpose and a function for the gallbladder. So you guys, if you can save your gallbladder, save your gallbladder. And if you don't know how to do that, then book in an appointment with us, right? Because you want to save your body parts. But just because you don't have a gallbladder, there's a couple things. You still have the bile ducts. Okay. And I promise you that when they removed that gallbladder, they did not go through and clear out those bile ducts. So you do want to make sure that you are still opening up. And, what the gallbladder and D is really good for is softening the sludge that's in there. Okay. So I do find it very helpful, even for clients who do not have their gallbladders. Okay. All right, you guys, go ahead, put questions in. I will stay here as long as there are questions coming in. So do put those questions in. I know people are on different platforms, so I've got these here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to just pop over. So we've got the gallbladder questions, we've got liver questions, we've got anxiety questions, we've got stress questions. Sleep. Okay, that is another question. What can I do to help with my sleep? So again, we want to understand the underlying root cause of what's happening with your sleep. So number one, it's always important to remember that those, our sleep points are on liver gallbladder meridians. And when our liver and our gallbladder, when we've got congestion and gunk stuff in there, it is going to impact our sleep. So sometimes we're able to use something like the gallbladder ND to really support sleep. The one that I mentioned earlier, the Trinquinol, is also very helpful when it comes to sleep. Okay, like I said, the Trinquinol is really good as a neurotransmitter reset. The other thing we are exposed to, and I'm getting a wall up here of light that comes out us that's not natural and normal for our bodies. If you use a lot of screen time or you're in front of the lights a lot, then I do recommend the melatonin. So the melatonin, that was one of the ones during, the whole COVID crisis that we had our clients on as well, because there was some great science behind, the melatonin and COVID. But melatonin, you guys, is also a powerful antioxidant and a regulator. So that's another one that's really important. And then, of course, I do like the magnesium for sleep as well. Okay, so I think that covered that part there. Another question about hot flashes. So that's a really great question, Jean. So let's talk about hot flashes, because I always say, so a lot of our clientele, they are perimenopausal, menopausal, or, postmenopausal women. And the one thing I want you to remember, if you're having crazy hot flashes or any kind of crazy hormonal imbalance symptoms like, drops in your libido or, mood swings and all that kind of stuff, you guys, menopause should be a nice, easy, graceful transition, right? We shouldn't be waking up in the middle of the night completely drenched. We shouldn't be having hot flashes that are stopping us in our tracks, making us hide from civilization because they're happening so frequently or their severity is so big, right? Yeah. If they are, it means that there are other things that are out of balance in the body. And, I love, for example, the Radiant Woman. That's a great one, is the Radiant Woman. But you also want to try to understand why those hot flashes are occurring to begin with. Okay. Is it that there's issues with the GI system? Is it that the liver and the gallbladder are all gunked up? Are you so stressed out? Are you eating sugar all the time? Like, these are key things to take a look at, because menopause was not supposed to be torture for women. I promise God did not design menopause as female torture. And I know this because this is what we deal with day in and day out. I would say, oh gosh, a good 75% of our clients probably come in with some sort of menopausal issues. And in our practice, we don't use any kind of synthetic hormones or things like that, because we don't need to. When you balance the body, those things do shift and change. So it really is about identifying why they're happening versus just putting the Band-Aid on. But so Jean, a lot of times balancing the adrenal glands is really important. If you're eating a lot of sugar, you certainly want to cut that out. You want to figure out what the other stressors are that are occurring in your body. And you really want to support those adrenals. I do love the MAXB, or you guys, if you have issues with MTHFR, so if you don't know what that is, don't worry. But if you know what that is, then it means that you probably have it. Otherwise, you might not know what it is. But the phytomethylates, that's PHYTO. The phytomethylates is what we often use, that we find balances the adrenals for those who have the MTHFR gene mutation. So you want to take a look at those things, Jean, as well. But the Radiant Woman is fantastic, and a lot of our women really love that as well. All right, you guys, it's 8:33. And I only had slated in for a half hour, but if you have additional questions, drop them in now. I will make sure that I get those additional questions before I go ahead and sign off. Let's see. Oh, Renee, you were talking about something else. I already got that. And okay, Deborah. So Deborah, there are some things that I use most often in my practice, or things that I really love. So the multivitamin I love because it's not synthetic, you guys. I don't, going back to, so this man here, Dr. Bob Marshall, I don't know if you guys know the story of Premier Research Labs, but like I said, he is the founder of Premier Research Labs. And the story is, back in the 70s, there was poisoning by an L-tryptophan supplement. It was a genetically modified supplement. It created havoc. A lot of people died as a result of taking that genetically modified supplement. And he too ended up with a health condition as a result of that poisoning. And Premier Research Labs was essentially started out of his commitment that would never happen to anybody else. And so, from the lawsuit, that is, what built the foundation of Premier Research Labs. So their level of integrity is outstanding. And I'll tell you guys, so I did so it's not released yet. It should be released the end of March, but we've already recorded a podcast episode on the True Wellness with Dr. D podcast. If you're not following the podcast, follow the podcast. I've got some really awesome speakers that I interview, including we've got real stories from real people. You'll hear real stories from clients of ours, real clients. But you guys, in the interview with him, we were talking a lot about the supplement industry overall, because I don't know that people realize the crazy adulteration that takes place in the supplement industry to begin with. I mean, I believe, and don't quote me on this, you'll have to listen to the podcast, but I believe Nick Levinsky, who is the CEO of Premier Research Labs, I believe he said it was about 70%. Don't quote me, you guys, it might have been different. A really high percentage of the raw materials are shipped back to the suppliers because they don't pass their standards of their testing. Now, I want you to think for a second. So if they're shipping all those raw materials back, where are those raw materials then going? Yeah, pretty scary. They're ending up in some other supplement somewhere for some company that's not actually testing their stuff. And so it's absolutely mind blowing. And you guys will know, if you've ever been a client of mine and you've come in and you've said, hey, I have all these supplements. Can you take a look at them? I won't use anything in my practice because, the kinesiologic testing tells me, but anything that has like magnesium stearate, silica, microcrystalline cellulose, stearic acid, food dyes, all these kind of things, tablets. I think it was this week, I had a woman, we talked about the Centrum. I said, throw the Centrum in the garbage, right? Because it is a tablet. It's filled with binders and glues, as well as synthetic nutrients. And I remember hearing a story from somebody that they just ended up at the bottom, the porta potties, when they clean them out, they just find all those tablets at the bottom of the porta potty. So you're not getting any benefit from it. You might as well make sure that you're actually getting nutrition that really works. And, so if you're doing something like a Centrum, you want to grab the Premier Research Labs, the multivitamin for sure. That is going to be head and shoulders way above anything else. But going back to the question, so yeah, the multivitamin is a fantastic one. It's even got the vitamin D in there. But I do love, if you are a woman, a lot of our clients, or I know a lot of our followers are in that 45 to 65 age range, and you really want to be focused on your bone health. And so the D3 plus K2 is phenomenal, and that is probably one of those ones that people need to take regularly for the rest of their life. That is an important one. The other one that I love, you guys, is the MediClay. Okay, that's MEDI-CLAY, the MediClay. And that one is really important. You want to think about the MediClay. The way I explain it is it's not a vitamin, it's not a mineral, it is like not a nutrient that is going to provide your body with something, but what it is a really awesome, like a magnet. So that MediClay, it goes through the GI system, and I like to say, it's pulling out all the gunky stuff. Think like molds, like aflatoxin. If you are aware what aflatoxin is, think like mold, fungus that grows on food that ends up in our GI system, or pesticides, herbicides. So it's kind of getting magnetic with those things and shuttling those things out of the body. Okay, and that one is very powerful. And we do have a joke in our office about the MediClay as well, because certainly if you've had some alcohol, alcohol creates internal, so endogenous toxins that are released by the liver. So we love to use the MediClay to help detoxify from any of that as well. So not its purposeful marketing, but I have told clients who are worried about that is a good one to use. So the MediClay is another favorite. I already talked about the HCl, the activator, and the digest as being really important. I love the green tea MD and the Xenostat, the seaweed, unless you've got like more thyroid stuff. And then of course that Thyrovan is super, super duper powerful. Okay, more questions. If you've got more questions, going once, going twice. If you're watching on whatever channel, give us a shout out and say hello. I'm going to check for other questions, but now is your time, you guys. I know it is 8:40 Eastern Standard Time, so it is bedtime, you guys. So if you've got any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat box. I will make sure that they get answered. Bear with me. Oh, yeah, you guys. So this is a good question. This comes up all the time. So people always ask about the Premier Research Labs, the pink salt. And I know, I put pink salt on people's protocols all the time. And they're always like, oh, pink salt, I've got pink salt. And they're usually thinking about the Himalayan rock pink salt that they call it pink salt because it looks pink. But the pink salt that we recommend, the Premier Pink Salt, you guys, is not that. It is a really high quality sea salt. It's got it's got the Hawaiian Alea clays in there. So it is incredibly mineral dense. And I will tell you, my boys are, my boys ride motocross, and believe it or not, riding dirt bikes is unbelievably physically rigorous. These kids, they're needing to eat ridiculous amounts of calories a day to just keep this sustaining their bodies, but their hydration is also super duper important. And I know people are using all these crazy sports drinks that have all sorts of dyes and chemicals and things like that. And these guys, they're using that Premier Research Labs pink salt in their water for hydration all the time. And to be honest with you, like I said, I put the pink salt in my water and I can immediately feel a difference. There's I think somewhere in our if you're in our private Facebook group, it's probably in there, but I think it's also on our South Bay Wellness Facebook page or on our YouTube as well. There is actually a video. So one of my friends from Premier Research Labs, his name is Dr. Spicer, and he and I hooked up at a conference, and he had some wires, electric wires, and a bottle of water. So he had just a plain old, the plastic bottles of water that you get out there. There wasn't anything fancy about the water. So he had 2 bottles of water, and he had the wires that were a wire connected to a light bulb. And he took the wire and stuck the wire into the bottle of water that had no salt in it. And then he took the wire and put it into one that had a little bit of salt. And lo and behold, guess what? The light bulb lights up. Why does it light up? Because of the minerals, you guys. So think about your body like that and how those minerals bring your body back to life. So awesome. All right, you guys, I don't think I see any other questions. So I'll go once, twice. Oh, yeah. Okay, you guys. So question about colds and flus and that kind of stuff. So number one, I always keep in my medicine closet the Alicidin. That is ALLICIDIN. Okay. And it is, essentially it's garlic in a capsule, but it is amazing at clearing out whatever might be going on, respiratory, sinus, for example. I know it's like that cold and flu season. I had a broken nose when I was a kid, and so I have a pretty deviated septum, and so I am prone, if there's any kind of sniffle, I can be prone to getting infections pretty easily. And I will tell you that just a little bit of that Alicidin and it's gone, and it doesn't come back. And I say a little bit, but that's not entirely true. So sometimes you need higher amounts of the Alicidin, but you're not needing them for long periods of time. So sometimes I'll take 12 or sometimes I'll take 18, but it knocks that guy right out so that I'm not ending up with some crazy sinus infection that is going to lead down a bad pathway. But the Alicidin is very powerful in terms of that. I also love the Nucleoimmune, which is the nucleotides, right? Which is building blocks of proteins. But the Nucleoimmune is the other one. If there's any sense of something starting, I'll grab a bunch of the Nucleoimmune, and that also helps the body really heal and repair quick. It's also really good post-surgery when you're dealing with a lot of stress. So that's another one. Of course, sometimes we use the oregano oil when we need big guns as well. So the oregano oil is fantastic. And of course, your vitamin C. Premier Vitamin C is not ascorbic acid. It is actually food-derived vitamin C, which is very important, you guys, right? It's not the synthetic stuff. And when you're using real food, it's got all the different constituents all there in one place. You want your supplementation to be like food in a capsule. That is the most ideal, okay? So your vitamin D, the other one. I also love the olive leaf immune. We use that a lot and keep that in our home, as well as the Immunoven. Okay, so those are all excellent ones to answer your question. All right, you guys, any other questions this evening? Going once, going twice. Let me know. I will go ahead and, can I do this easily? I will go ahead and drop those links for you into the comments section if I can pull them up here quickly enough. Hopefully you're able to see them, but the links to be able to take advantage for the 25% off. Okay, so here's the coupon code. I'm going to drop that. So coupon code. There we go. And of course the link, bear with me, you guys. I need to do another copy and paste. I thought I could do an easy copy and paste, but that didn't work out. So if you do not have an account, that code will not work for you. So you do want to make sure that you use the link to create your account. So I put that in there. All right, everybody. I don't think I see any more questions. If you have any, of course, you can message us. Unfortunately, we won't be getting back to you before the end of the sale, but we will get back to you, in fact. And if you're dealing with health issues and you're not sure what to do, then you definitely want to reach out to myself and the team. And those of you who are throwing darts at the dartboard, trying to hit the bullseye with your supplements, first of all, I applaud you. It is awesome to go from, just thinking that, we need to take medication to change everything when we can use real food. But number two, I do want you to know that it's important to get to that underlying root cause, right? So those of you who have cabinets filled with supplements, but you're not even sure why you have them, what to do with them, or how to use them, then you definitely want to book in a consultation. When we work with our clients, we are individualizing, and I use kinesiologic testing to identify exactly what is needed by the organs, glands, and systems of the body so that you're actually getting what works. Okay, and that is really important. All right, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I am sure we'll see you around social media. Go ahead and message us. Tell us about the other things that you want to hear and learn about. And I have vowed to get more present and more vocal and put out more information. So you can help me out by telling me what you want to learn. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Good night.